speaking of the Freaks group, Lana shared a post that caught my attention, and I did some research and became intrigued AF about hagfish. Hagfish, also known as hypertretti. So the classification of hagfish has been controversial. The issue is whether the hagfish was a degenerate type of vertebrate fish that through evolution had lost its vertebrae.
Degenerate type of vertebrate fish, like hanging around.
Loitering, mostly.
Yeah, with a crowbar smashing windows out of cars that have been left on the side of the road.
Yeah.
Leaning up against them, smoking.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Or whether hagfish represent a stage that precedes the evolution of the vertebral column. So hagfish are the only known living animal that has a skull but no vertebral column.
Huh.
So despite being named slime eels, they really aren't eels. They are a jawless fish, and its body is made up entirely of cartilage, like the body of a shark or your earlobe.
Gross. I'm still thinking of slime eel. That's so gross.
We're going to really get into the slime. Hold on. These little nuggets are scavengers that feed on marine invertebrates and carcasses of marine life on the seafloor. Hagfish don't have jaws, but they do have 2 rows of teeth made of keratin, the same protein that makes up like hair and hooves and horns. They don't really have to rely on their teeth, though, because they are capable of absorbing nutrients through their skin, and they can survive for months without eating.
That's so disgusting.
Hagfish have elongated eel-like bodies and a paddle-like tail. The skin is naked. There's no scales or anything like that, and it covers the body like a loosely fitting sock. The skin is only connected to the body along the center ridge of the back. The rest of it's just kind of like loosely hanging around the body.
So it's like an oversized condom fish.
It's kind of like that, yep. They range from pink to blue-gray. Sometimes black or white spots might be present. They're typically about 19 inches in length, about 50 centimeters. There is a large species which is recorded as being about 4 feet long, 127 centimeters, and there's little nuggets, little tiny baby guys that are about 1.5 inches long. So as I mentioned, the skin is attached only along the center ridge of the back, right about where its slime glands are. So yeah, when the hagfish feels threatened, it releases hagfish slime. It's a protein-based jelly-like substance that comes out of their slime pores that run the length of its body. The mucin is made up of long thread-like fibers similar to spider silk. The strands, which are arranged in bundles called skeins, are thinner than human hair, stronger than nylon, and extremely flexible. So when the skeins come into contact with seawater, the glue holding them together dissolves, allowing the slime to expand rapidly. And it's not just a little bit. Wikipedia referred to it as a copious amount of slime.
So this is like an oversized used condom fish.
Gross. They've got about 100 slime glands running along their flanks, and when captured or when they feel threatened, they secrete this mucus, which expands into up to 20 liters. That's 5.5 gallons
Oh my God.
of gelatinous material when combined with water. Hagfish slime can expand by 10,000 times in less than a second.
There's got to be some kind of a practical industrial purpose for this. They must be studying and researching this. There's got to be some kind of use for it.
So the slime is made up, as I said, of strands that are stronger than nylon and thinner than human hair. But unlike other types of mucus, hagfish slime does not dry out. So it's not like snot, where eventually it will get all crusty.
Really?
It just stays weird and slimy, but not sticky.
Forever. It just stays like that forever.
I don't know if it's forever, but it would take a really long time.
Wow.
It's basically a one-of-a-kind substance. There's nothing to even really compare it to. I mean, other than it is described by Douglas Fudge of Chapman University as being kind of like a spider web that was built underwater.
Well, if that's what Douglas Fudge thinks, then...
He said, you reach in, and every move of your hand will drag the water with it. It doesn't feel much like anything at first, as if a spider has built a web underwater. But try to lift your hand out, and it's as if the bucket's contents are now attached to you.
Wow, so that could be deadly in the right amounts.
As you would assume, this is a defense mechanism. When a hagfish is in a, let's call it a sticky situation, even though we've discussed it is not sticky, they can tie themselves into an overhand knot and work the knot down itself to clear the slime from its own body.
No way.
Right? So it's one of the ways that they free themselves from the captor. They unslime themselves and leave that slime with their captor. Slime also fills the mouth and gills of an attacker, allowing the fish to escape.
And does it kill the predator?
Yes. Well, if nothing else, they have to really work to free their gills of it. So they have to let go of the hagfish because they need to focus on other things, like the breathing. Unfortunately, though, the predator that they do have a hard time getting away from is humans. So in most of the world, hagfish aren't really eaten. But in Korea, the hagfish is a valued food. In addition, hagfish skin is used for a variety of accessories. Sometimes they call it eel skin. It's used to make belts and wallets and such. It's pretty gross. There was an accident in Oregon in 2017, and the photo of the aftermath of this accident is what was in the article that Lana originally shared that caught my attention. A truck carrying a bunch of hagfish overturned on the interstate and spilled its cargo onto the roadway and this car. So as we said, the slime is emitted in great quantities very quickly. So the car was covered in this slime, and it's just dripping off of it. The road is covered in hagfish and hagfish slime. They had to use, like, those trucks with the scoops on the front, the scoopy trucks. Sure.
Not even to mention how uncomfortable it must have been for the people that were in the car. I would be tempted to just stay there.
This is where we live now. As you mentioned, researchers are experimenting with methods of creating man-made slime that would be like what this hagfish excretes. Because extracting the substance directly from the hagfish is expensive and it's very stressful for the animal. As you can imagine, it's a self-defense mechanism. But the strong, flexible fabrics that are made from the slime could replace petroleum-based materials like nylon, and the resulting fabric could be more durable and environmentally friendly. There are even researchers who are studying hagfish slime used as protective gear, for instance, Kevlar vests. In the auto industry, hagfish slime could be used in airboats or to add lightweight strength and flexibility to car parts. Scientists also think that they might be able to use hagfish slime to create hydrogels that could be used in disposable diapers and farm irrigation systems. There's a ton of options, and this is all according to a Navy article.
A diaper full of hagfish. I only said that because that's going to be the name of this episode.
The U.S. Navy is currently working with hagfish slime in hopes of creating a substance that can protect divers from underwater attacks, fight fires, and even stop missiles.
This is all very fascinating.
Isn't that interesting? But again, it's not great for the hagfish to be farming out this slime, so they're trying to figure out ways that they can recreate it in a lab, which is amazing.
Synthetic hagfish slime.
I will definitely post a photo of the car that had been damaged by way of hagfish slime. So anyway, that's the hagfish.